Welcome back. Let's take you back to one of our top stories where Basic Education Department says the first week of Matric exams has been challenging, with thousands of pupils not able to write. Protest action, extreme weather conditions and load shedding are some of the biggest impediments. For more on this, we're joined by Mugwena Maluleke, General Secretary of SADTU. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. The first week has not been all smooth sailing. I mean, looking at the feedback we're hearing, load shedding, protests, some even going violent as they bar pupils from writing. What is your sentiment as the union?
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon to our viewers at home, and thank you for having us. Indeed, the first week of writing has not been that smooth. However, we need to appreciate the support that we've received from parents and the teachers in areas where there were, protests. The teachers have been able to intervene and talk to the protesters so that they can allow our learners to be able to write. Of course, we are very disappointed that when we are fully aware that this class of 2022 is a very special class, which has gone through devastating moment of their life when they were in grade 10 and grade 11. And when finally they are going to be sitting for the examination, they are confronted with issues of blackouts, issues of violence against them and their teachers. So we're hoping that the call by the DG will be heeded by our communities and the parents themselves, because we believe now it is the responsibility of each and every parent to making sure that your child go and write examination.
The department also said that they're aware of the public service strike and they're working with unions to, reach some form of conclusion. What is your take there? Because I know that yourselves and NAPTOSA did agree to the wage agreement that was finalized then.
Yeah, indeed. Ourselves and NAPTOSA have indicated that while we are not happy with the offer that has been put on the table, we have accepted on the basis of a number of factors that are affecting this particular negotiation, and therefore we are not part of the engagement between the unions that are in dispute with the employer. So therefore we do not have information of how far they are in terms of finding each other. However, what we know it is that on our side, we are only part of the briefing in terms of what is happening with the examination, not in terms of how the dispute has got to be resolved, because we have not declared any dispute, and therefore we are in law cannot be part of any dispute resolution processes that we are not part of.
So the learners that were barred from writing because of the service delivery action happening in their communities, what alternatives are being made for them to ensure that they do eventually get to sit for that final exam?
Well, in terms of the arrangement by the department and which has been approved by Lucy, they will then be offered alternative dates to write this year. For example, we know that those that could not conclude their CAT and technology from the other week of the 27th and the 26th are going to be writing their examination on the 7th of December. It is not an ideal situation for you not to write on the date which you had prepared to write, because it brings another level of unnecessary anxiety, which we don't need at this particular point in time. What we have requested in the briefing with the department, we have said that these particular learners who could not write need to be supported. They need to have psychosocial services that is going to be provided to them and their teachers and their parents in that particular community. So we will be working to monitor if that particular service is going to be handed to them. And obviously that the teachers have offered that they will also be doing some revision with these particular learners. The mere fact that they did not write the examination on the day they were supposed to write, the teachers are fully aware and they are always there to be assisting our learners to ensure that they are able to revise again. So they will still write this year.
You make mention of the impact of the service delivery action on learners. You speak about anxiety. One other aspect that was raised ahead of this exam was definitely the impact of load shedding, how that in itself will also lead to other psychological, traumas when it comes to learners, especially this group that has already suffered as a result of being in grade 10 at the COVID-19 pandemic, and now having to sort of catch up to eventually get to this point.
Definitely. Blackout is something that really we don't wish it could have happened at this particular point, because it is adding more mental health problem for our learners. Hence, we have indicated at the beginning of this particular examination that the Department of Social Service and Development must work closely with the Department of Education in ensuring that we do not allow the levels of anxiety to rise on these particular learners, because we know very well that the blackout is not only affecting them when they ride, but it's also affecting them when they're at home. And obviously, as teachers, we know that when you have a 2.5 hours of blackout, it's not going to take you another 2.5 hours for you to settle. It might take you more than 6 hours for you to be able to mentally to settle and be able to focus on your examination. So that particular anxiety is not required at this particular point in time, and therefore we have tried our best to prevail upon ESCOM. Unfortunately, technically and realistically, it is not going to happen that they will then be able to suspend this particular load shedding, which we had said they must suspend the load shedding during this particular point in time, because it's something else to be in the examination center and there's no light, but you are writing during the day. But it is always mentally draining for a student who has got to study and then there's a blackout and therefore had to go back and redo the same thing again, because some of them have to access their reading materials from their tablets, because the textbooks are now uploaded on the tablet, and therefore they don't have hard copies for this particular examination to prepare. And those learners are facing very serious challenges as we go through this. And therefore, we believe that with the teachers' support that are always there and the parents' support, we can go through this particular examination whilst we are acknowledging and appreciating the challenges that we are facing.
Yeah, the challenges are really significant, because there was also word this morning about how the department has picked up that some parents and schools prevented learners from writing because of either being pregnant or a matter of outstanding fees, which in itself is a major setback for the learner.
Well, any school or any institution that block the learners from writing must be reported, and therefore they must be dealt with in terms of the law. There is no school that has any right to block any learner from writing just because they did not pay. Because the contract is not signed by the learner, the contract is signed by the parent, and that particular school in law, they have got a recourse, and they need to follow that particular recourse and leave that particular learner to be able to write the examination. Outstanding fees must not be an obstacle towards a learner writing the examination. It's unlawful, and we must not accept it. And therefore, the Department of Education must open criminal cases against those particular schools, to the extent that even if it's a private school, they must do that, because they know that the law is protecting them by going there and deal with the parent in terms of the law and not the child. The child cannot be held responsible for the parent not being able to pay. It cannot be acceptable. You cannot block any child from writing. So we are calling upon parents, basically, because this is a responsibility for all of us to walk their children to school and make sure that they write. We're calling upon the parents in the communities where they are protest to be part of those particular solutions that are required there, and really talk to those who are organizing the protest to say, we are parents and our children have got to write. We cannot afford to allow this particular. After 13 years of studies, and therefore we block the future of our children and destroy the future of our children. We appreciate the problems. Everybody has got problems. Everybody's angry. But let's allow our learners to write examination, because they will not be a solution to our problem when they are not writing. If they write, there will be a solution to our problems, because they can provide better leadership in the future.
The department's deployed 85 monitors to really ensure and the process of credibility, to ensure that it's adhered to, and that this batch of matriculants do then write credible and fair exams. What is your view as a union, and what are some of the educators saying when it comes to the processes that are in place, the additional assistance with the monitors throughout the course of this week?
Our teachers are highly professional, especially those that are in vigilating and those that are in the management. They're doing everything they can, and we're very proud of our teachers for making sure that this particular examination and any other examination is not questionable, that the integrity is protected, that the integrity is always going to be promoted, and so ensuring that any learner who's going to graduate from our school in terms of this particular examination cannot be subjected to any doubt whatsoever. So we are also appreciating the fact that the department is working with the security services to ensure that things work accordingly. We have seen it when we're monitoring in around Zeerust, where the security forces were there to engage the communities in a very professional way, and then really asking them to allow the teachers and the students to be able to pass and go and write the examination. We want to thank the community. We want to thank the security forces for really being part of this particular examination. And we think that is one of those particular preparations that we should not undermine. We should be able to support as the people of our country.
Yeah, very well. Thank you so much for weighing in. Mugwena Maluleke, General Secretary of SADTU, speaking to the week that has been with the number of challenges experienced as the Matric class of 2022 sat for exams from Monday.